Hi, everyone. This is Ray Kidd, League Director and owner of TC Flag Football. We're doing a little bit of a live stream here with hopefully some of our officials. I saw one popped in and dropped out, and do have another that's on the screen here. So I'm going to bring these guys in as we're about to talk about the Build the Beast draft tournament that's about to happen tomorrow. And we're going over rules. And I think it's important that we're obviously doing this in this kind of format where we're bringing the officials on, having some open communication about what the rules are, clarifications, expectations, things of that sort, and then allowing our audience to kind of see this process and behind the scenes as to how things kind of come about, and the communications to our officials about how to make judgment calls and things of that sort. So right now I see that we got Jack and Diedrich on the live right now. Evening, guys. So hopefully this doesn't take more than an hour to do. I don't even want to really take it that long, but if it does, it does. But we do have a lot to cover over in terms of rules. I also have a couple of videos that I want to bring in that will demonstrate some examples of what we'll see throughout this tournament. This is a very unique circumstance and situation with this tournament because it's a variety of different things. I mean, there is a lot that's going on with this event. We have a double elimination bracket, which we don't normally do. Usually it's a pull play, what have you, but this kind of goes right into we know exactly how it's going to play out, who's going to play who, if certain teams win and lose, or what have you. We also have the fact that um, you bounce from format to format with each round. So you can play fours non contact, you win. You play fives non contact, you win. You play fives contact, you win. You play sixes contact. Now, obviously, if you lose in that manner and you go into the elimination round or double elimination round, then there's a chance that you're repeating the same style of play that you lost in, and it kind of gives you that opportunity of redemption to move on to the next level. Obviously, if you're in the double elimination bracket, then you go into the consolation bracket and you're kind of playing the same format a little bit over and over again. Uh, the other interesting factor to that, and the reason why we kind of have it set up that way, is because when a team loses, they lose a player to the winning team. And so, winning team gains a player, adds depth to the roster, and then the losing team is one less a guy. So again, there is a lot to uncover just in the formats themselves, in the strategy of this tournament, and the rules are going to certainly play a factor. And we want to make sure that there's good communication and expectations about that. So I'm going to jump into our rule book here. So give me one moment here, and I'm going to blow this up so we can kind of see it a little bit more. For one, and then two, I'm going to make sure I'm getting this to show across our screen. Can everybody see that? All right, I got a nod here, so we're going to go right into it. So this is the Build the Beast rule book. This will be posted onto our officials page as well, just to make sure everybody's seeing that, as well as again seeing this on the live. As I said, this is a format that's going to be progressive. So you go from a 4v4 non-contact. If you advance, you play 5v5 non-contact, and then 5v5 contact, and then 6v6. Um, Teams who lose replay the format. They lose again. They lost until they win again, with the exception of game 11, if to which the loser will play in a 6v6. And we'll talk about the bracket as well as the officiating assignments as to who's going to be on what games and all that stuff, and the consolation bracket. Rosters are capped at 8 players. We already know the rosters, so we'll probably do roster checks at the very beginning, and then after that, it's up to us to maintain who gets added or subtracted to rosters, so there's consistencies to that. But that should be pretty manageable throughout the whole process. Draft captains are the only ones who cannot be picked up by another team or pulled from another team, so they have to live and die by their draft. Okay. After each match, the winning team selects the player. It's not the losing team that decides who they're giving up. It's the winning team who decides who they want to bring on. Um, and obviously, rosters expand and contract accordingly. Teams must have enough players to field the current format. Failure to do so will result in disqualification. I don't even think there's a merger. Just straight up disqualification. Okay, and what that means is like obviously you start with 8, and in those double elimination rounds, you can drop down to I think 6 players. But if you have a couple of guys that end up having to leave the tournament, get injured or whatever, and you drop down to like 3, then you don't have enough to field the minimum requirement. Okay. Um, Game durations. These are going to be 12-minute halves. Normal league is 15-minute, but with tournaments, we're going to 12. First half is running clock. That's the same as what TC's been doing for a few years now. Second half is pro clock in the final minute. If the score is within 14 points, if the lead is 21 points or more, pro clock is not activated. Okay, actually, it should be pro clock is within 20 points. Okay. If it's anything more than that, then pro clock's not activated. Play clock, 25 seconds. Okay. So usually league is 30 seconds. We dropped it down to 25 seconds. We want faster plays going on. Timeouts, there's 3 per game. Timeouts are 25 seconds in duration. When a team takes a timeout, they call timeout, play clock is running at the same time. So it doesn't, just because they took a timeout, doesn't mean that there's 25 seconds and then the play clock resumes. No, it's simultaneous. The only way a team can extend the time that they have the clock or the game, is if they turn around and they run that play clock down to say 5 seconds, they call timeout. Then they've got 25 seconds. That's the only time you can see some sort of extension of a player period. Okay. Mercy rule, 28 points. If a team wins by 28 points, that game is done. There is no, like, if they turn around, get up 28 points in the first half, that's it. It's done. There's nothing else. Okay. We're going to move on. All right. We already did the draft and all that stuff. So the draft rules don't necessarily need to apply here. So we're going to just move right into the format rules. Format rules. QB cannot run, but can hand off lateral behind the line of scrimmage. Now, what that means is QB takes the ball right off the snap, tries to run. That's not allowed. But what you can do is you can turn around and you hand off the ball. And if the handoff goes off and they want to pitch back to the QB, then the QB can run. Because at that point in time, it's a player. Okay. It's not necessarily straight up QB. Okay. They can also throw if there's a lateral pitch behind the line of scrimmage. And so, say, for example, I'm trying to think of an example here. So, say, for example, a QB has ball, pitches it off to the halfback. Then the QB drops back behind where the halfback was, as long as it's behind the line or the original throw there, and keeps in the reverse. That QB can receive that pitch back and then throw that ball. Okay. Let's see here. Blocking. Must be stationary screens, no movement screens. So anyone who has ref basketball, you got to have the person stand position straight, hands in front of them. That's it. That's all they can do. Okay. If there's a moving screen, that's a 5-yard penalty. Okay. Let's see here. And you can't do any pick plays as well. So what I mean by that is you can't have a player running a screen in front of another player and then have a receiver up underneath that. That's a moving screen and a pick play. Okay. Defenders in the non-contact formats, rushers start at the 7-yard rush line. They can be marked by the downfield judge. This is the secondary judge. They got to check in. They got to give a thumbs up. Okay. And then, let the judge know, hey, I'm a rusher. Okay. If the offense goes hurry up offense and that downfield judge cannot get set to the rush line, there is no rush line. What that means, though, is that the rusher can straight up rush off the ball. Okay. So, obviously, offense, if they go hurry up, they're forfeiting that 7-yard rush line. That is what that means. Okay. There's also a 7-second play clock countdown. This is on every single play, regardless if there's a rush or no rush. Okay. And it doesn't matter if a ball is handed off or whatever, or double pass or whatever. They got 7 seconds to get that ball off down the field. Okay. Rushers must have a clear lane. If an offensive player impedes the rush, it's going to be penalized. There's no jamming of receivers, so you got to sit there and respect that. There's no shove outs either. You got to pull for the flags. This is non contact. Okay. In the contact versions, QB can run. We already know this about TC. There's blocking allowed within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage if the QB still has the ball. Downfield blocking is allowed only on run plays and after the pass has been thrown. Okay. No blocking above the shoulders or below the waist. Rushers, there is no rush line or count. It's just slide ball rush like we've seen. And bull rush is allowed. Okay. So we're just going to let the boys play at the line. However, there is some safety considerations still in play. No lining up over the center. Rushers can line up and rush through the A gap. Okay. But you can't make any contact to the center right off the snap. It's the same thing as what we've done in the past with TC. Give them that little 2 yard buffer, and then you can make contact with the center. But they got to get their head up. Okay. Defense, jamming's allowed within 5 yards. You got to use your hands though. Can't be using forearms and stuff like that. Push outs are allowed as long as it's at the hips and the waist. Anything above the hips and waist or anything below can be considered as unnecessary roughness. Okay. No pushing out of receivers out of bounds on jump balls. We see this mostly in the end zone. Receiver will go up for a high point ball. They're exposed, they're defenseless, and a defender will go off and push them, thinking it's okay that if I push the guy out of bounds from the end zone, that it's no good. All that is we're going to sit there and award the touchdown and call unnecessary roughness. Okay. Do not do it. Down system. So in tournament play, we're going to go to 3 downs to reach midfield, 3 downs to score. Okay. There is no 4th down play. If a team is unable to reach the midfield point, it's automatic change of possession to the opposite end of the field, start the 5 yard line, as long as there's no interception. Now, if there's an interception on the 3rd down play, that's returnable, and basically it ends up wherever the defense gets their flag pulled. Okay. On the end zone, if they got 3 downs to score, they don't score on that 3rd down, it's change of possession. Again, if there's an interception, then it's result of the end of the play. Okay. But there is no 4th down. 3rd down is essentially 4th down now. Okay. No run zones still within 5 yards of the midfield, and no run zone within 5 yards of the end zone. Okay. Again, on the rush line, rushers must check in with the referee on each play, must designate that, hey, I'm going to be a rusher. That's for every eligible rusher. Okay. Now, if a rusher turns around, checks in and says, I'm going to rush, and then decides not to, hey, that's fine. They can do that. But if a guy just comes out to the line and they don't signal that they're going to rush, they didn't declare themselves eligible as a rusher. Okay. It doesn't matter if they're behind the 5 yard line. They need to throw their hands up, they throw up their thumb up saying, I'm a rusher. Okay. Okay. Penalties. These are simple. It's going to be real easy. 5 yard penalty, loss of down on any offensive play. Doesn't matter if it's false start, holding, pass interference, whatever. As long as it's not unnecessary roughness or unsportsmanlike penalty, it's 5 yards. If it's unsportsmanlike and unnecessary roughness, it's 10 yards. Both situations, it's automatic first down. Or excuse me, if it's unsportsmanlike in favor of the offense, then it's automatic first down. If it's unsportsmanlike or unnecessary roughness against the offense, then it's loss of down. Okay. On defense, again, if they're offsides, defensive PI, I'm trying to think what holding, what have you, it's going to be 5 yards tacked onto the play, automatic first down for the offense. Okay. Same thing again, 10 yards for unnecessary roughness or unsportsmanlike. Okay. Clarifications on quarterback protection. We already know this in TC is pretty consistent. Any contact to the quarterback's arm, shoulder, hand, or ball while it's in possession of the QB which is an extension of the quarterback, it's a 10-yard penalty, automatic first down. That's an unnecessary roughness. Okay. Laterals are permitted beyond the line of scrimmage. They must be received parallel or behind the original pitch. Anything forward beyond that is illegal. And again, if it's illegal forward pass, it's 5 yards from the spot, loss of down. Onside attempts. We will permit onside attempts into this. Now, because of the way that we're going to set up the fields, there's a couple of things with onside attempts. One, only in the second half and only in trailing, same as it's been in TC. Also, the team that's going to go for the onside attempt must declare it at the PAT. Okay. They can set conditions on that. And what I mean by that is, say, for example, if they're trailing and they need to get the PAT to win, and they say, if we miss the PAT, we want to go for an onside attempt. But if we get the PAT, then clearly we're not going to go for the onside attempt. Okay. So those things can occur. Again, the team can announce their conditional request for onside attempt at the time of the PAT. If after the PAT they turn out talking about onside attempt, sorry, it's too late. You didn't call it. Okay. Again, on the onside attempt, you get one play to reach midfield. If successful, team keeps possession of the ball. If they do not, the opposing team will get the ball at midfield or wherever the play ends, if they intercept the ball or what have you. Defensive penalties on onside attempt. 5 yards, offense gets to move closer and they get to retry the play. Offense, if they commit it, say for example, they go a hard count and they false start, it's 5 yards and it's turnover on downs immediately. Okay, so basically what will happen is the other team will get the ball at midfield with a 5 yard penalty attached to that. Okay. Thing about the onside attempt too, because you're starting from the 5 yard line. If an onside attempt has a botch snap that goes into a safety zone, it is a safety. Okay. Scoring. It's the typical stuff. 6 points for touchdowns. Point after try from one for the 5 yard line is 1 point. From the 10 yard line is 2 points. There is no 3-point play option for scoring in all formats. So any team that says 3-point play in this tournament, there is no 3-point play option. Okay. If a team wants to change their PAT call after declaring it and the ball has been spotted, the declaration will require a timeout to make a change. If they do not have a timeout to charge to change their PAT call, then the PAT is where it is. Okay. Again, mercy rule, game ends immediately after a lead reaches 28-point differential. Overtime rules. Very simple. First overtime, home team gets to choose whether they want to go for a 1-point or 2-point try. Away team must win or tie to respond. Okay, so say, for example, home team says, we want to go for a 1-point try, and they're successful. The away team must go for the 2-point to win. Okay. If the home team goes for PAT or the 1 or 2-point try and they're unsuccessful, the away team can go for 1 and win. If they're both unsuccessful, then we'll go into the second overtime, to which the away team then begins to choose whether they want to go 1-point or 2-point. And again, the home team then must respond to go for the win. Okay. If they end up tying, then it will go into sudden death. Sudden death is one play. It's an offensive play per team. Team with the longest yardage gain wins. Any offensive penalties will result into an automatic loss. Okay. There are no coin toss. We already know who the home and away teams are. And the bracket will obviously show that as well. So we're just going to jump right into games. And possession obviously starts with the first, with the away team with getting the ball first. Home team gets the ball in the second half. Uniforms are going to be very straightforward. All teams, all players must have either a black top. Excuse me. All teams and players must bring both a black top and a white top shirt. Okay. The home team will wear black. The away team will wear white. There are no other colors that are expected in this event because when players have to switch from one team to another, they need to have the flexibility to shift from one shirt top to the other. Okay. All players are responsible for bringing their own flags. If they need to rent flags from TC, we got them for $5. They can rent it up front with the front desk. And then those players who go in to rent a flag must surrender an ID as collateral so that TC knows who still got flags when they return. If they don't return them, they don't have their ID. It's pretty simple. Players who are not properly equipped may not be eligible for play. So this is out of town rules. If you don't have your flags, you cannot play. You cannot be on the field. Okay. The one hand touch thing that TC does is limited to league play only. But if you're sitting there out here with no flags, you're not going to be eligible to play. Must have flags. Okay. All right. So that covers the rules. All right. Jack and Diedrich, I saw that you guys are still on here. Any questions about the rules?
I'm all good right now. Thank you.
Okay. I see I got one question here from Jack. It says defensive offsides. Is that a free play or is it automatically dead blown play like it is travel ball? Great question. We're going to go automatic dead ball play. This tournament's really geared like out of town rules, so we're going to keep that consistent. See, we got a couple of more officials that jumped on. So, hey Eric, hey Brandon, welcome. Just went over the whole gamut of the rules, so hopefully you guys have gotten a chance to hear that. If not, then obviously this is going to be streamed and posted up on YouTube, and we'll share that chat. But I'm also going to go into some examples as we go down some of these rules. And again, the one question that was just asked, Jack, is automatic dead blown play in offsides against the defense. Yeah, we're going to call it dead because it's automatic first down play anyway. So it's not like you can replay the down or whatever. So let me get that in here. And I'll get these posted up on the league's site as well. You can see Lamar, the creator of this. The creator of this is on as well. When can a player cross a line of scrimmage on a double pass pitch when the second player gets the ball, or as soon as the QB releases it, and they need to be? So you're talking about, okay, so I'm going to read this again just to make sure everybody understands what I'm saying. When can a player cross the line of scrimmage on a double pass pitch? When the second player gets the ball, or as soon as the first quarterback releases it, and they need not be 7 yards back. Well, I would say from that, then it's immediately when the second player gets the ball. Okay.
But they could have been standing at the line of scrimmage at that time and go right in from there then.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Because at that point in time, it's a live ball. Okay. All right. Like I said, I want to go ahead and jump into the see if I got somebody else on here. I'm going to go ahead and jump into some examples here. Pulling some video from USA Flag Nationals. Let's see here. Just got to figure out how to get this to share here. Give me one moment. Okay. So what we're looking at here is the USA flag. Let's see here. Just trying to get this, make sure this is full-blown screen here. What we're looking at here is how they're set up here. This is a tight bunch formation, 5v5 format, and this can be the same as applied as for 4v4. If you look in the for the team in red, they've got 2 rushers identified. They're behind the rush line. The female official is the rush line, and then you've got the line judge down by the second down marker. Okay, the offense is appearing to be in a bunch formation. Now, teams that have traveled out of town will actually put their arms out to touch one each other. This is basically a closed formation, okay? So those 2 rushers who have their hands up, based upon this formation, will need to go to the outside lanes to have a free rush, okay? These receivers know that these rushers have to run on the outside, so they cannot run a route to the outside that impedes that forward progress. And you'll see this where they do this nice and cleanly, where you see the rush lane, the receiver is already out but didn't impede on this rusher that's coming in. The other ones are clear. The second rusher that was identified drops back into coverage, okay? The other thing that you'll notice here is as this play is developing, the back judge is moving back with the play to ensure that they're getting into the spot when the play goes downfield. The line judge still holds his spot, and then the rusher's still going in, okay? It's a good, clean play, gets out of bounds. Now, the defender or the receiver was going down for the ball, wasn't any sort of illegal contact, okay? This play, again, rush line, you got the female as the rush line, you've got the 2 defenders that listed as rusher, and they're going to have to go outside the rush lanes. All right. Good pressure, receiver. Now, this is non-contact. So this receiver, if this was normal TC, would have probably been pushed out of bounds. But the defender's got to make an attempt to go for the flag, misses the flag. Again, cannot push out on non-contact. Again, you see the 2 rushers down the middle, raise their hand. Rush lane. This is a little bit more of a spread formation, so they've got clear rush lanes. They can rush right up the middle there. Defender makes a move around, so he's clear to get without contact. Play is clean. Again, signaling of the 2 rushers on the rush line. Receiver stayed clear of the rusher. Rusher had that clean lane on the outside. Notice the rusher, when he went for the QB, he obviously went up high, but ended up going for the flags. Did not make any contact to the QB's arm. Okay. This is interesting, and this is something that I was questioning about whether or not we could do a 3-point stance in this format, because it is non-contact. The rushers are far enough from the rusher. I don't have a problem with, in non-contact, rusher taking 3-point stance from the rush line. Okay. All right. He's coming clean. Now, this wasn't a pick play or screen play at all. Let's see here. Again, at this point in time, normal TC, this guy's getting pushed out of bounds. Cannot push out of bounds. Has to go for the flag in non-contact. Okay, so you got the rusher here clearly identified, raises his hand. Any questions to how that's all set up? Here's one where it's a double pass. Quarterback drops back. Now the quarterback can catch and run. I think they do it again here. QB, there he is. Yeah, so this one, original QB took the snap, pitches it back. Now this is their true QB, but now he has the option to run. Instead, he drops it back. The other guy can now run as well because he received the pitch back, even though he originally got the snap. So we'll go back to that play because that's a good one there. That was a long developing one. Give me a second here. So again, takes the QB snap, pitches it back, takes it, can run, does run. And again, this is non-contact. You'll see that these players were going to dip. Typically, out-of-town rules, when you dip, you give up your body so you can kind of be tackled or whatever, but it's still non-contact. This play right here, let's see here. As this receiver crosses over, he's going to make contact with the defender. It's a good no call. Wasn't like the defender was purposely trying to make contact. The receiver ran into the defender. All right. The only thing that I've got here too, going back to that play here, it's after the touchdown. All right, so you know that the play is going into the end zone. This is what I want to see whenever we got point after try plays. Back judge needs to be far back after the rush line has been established, okay? So in this situation, they've put this rush line, I think, further back here off this one, off the goal line. So if you got an identifying marker like the goal line, you could easily say rush line's here and then move back, okay? That way you're in position for that back of the side, back of the end zone catch, okay? And I'm okay with officials too. Like after you establish the rush line, once they're set, you can move back to that 10-yard spot that we usually do in TC, just to give yourself some additional space to get upfield if you need to be. Okay. All right. I think that's about it there. Anybody have any questions? in regards to these rules? Okay. I'm going to assume that there's nothing there. All right. Let me make one more shift here. On the schedule here. Let's see here. All right. So here's the schedule. Let me get this zoomed out here for you guys. Okay. So first thing, all the teams are obviously going to start in non-contact format right here. Okay. Winner will advance, play into the fives non-contact. Loser will drop down into the fours non-contact. Okay. And then we'll proceed on. The teams that win here will move into the fives non-contact here and here. Okay. The teams that lose here will then move down to the fives non-contact. So they've already played fives non-contact before. They will move into a fives non-contact. Okay. And then we'll move into winners will play fives contact, and these winners will then play into fives contact. So it falls into the natural flow of you win, you play the next type of format. Okay. After the fives non-contact, winner advances here, plays sixes. This would be the only time that we see a team that goes from fives contact drop in and play into a sixes contact. Same here is if they win here, they play the sixes. Okay. Then we've got sixes through here. And then if in the event that the top team here loses to this team here, then they'll replay again. Home and away status will change. So if they turn around, this is the home team versus the away team. If the home team loses here, they will become the away team against the head-to-head. Okay. Now, also double elimination. So this is at this point in time. Say, for example, a team loses here, comes here, loses here. They're going to drop down to here. They'll still play in the 4v4 contact or non-contact because they haven't won at all. Okay, so they're still playing in that format. And then if they win, they'll move into this 5v5. All these games are officiated. So they're all going to maintain 2 refs. Okay. Here's a timeline that we're looking at. Blocked out 40 minutes for each bracket. Again, the actual gameplay should only take about 30 minutes. So we've built in 10 extra minutes of time if in the event that there is overtime or what have you. We should be fine there. Okay. So overall, we're expected to be done a little bit before 2 p.m. I've got the facility rented out until 2 p.m. Okay. For officials, we've got Brandon and Andre, Larry and Diedrich, JT and Cam, George and Eric. Okay. Brandon and Andre are going to be the guys that are on field 1. They're going to have a longest duration of games, and then followed by Larry and Diedrich. Okay. And then JT, Cam, George, and Eric, you guys are going to have 4 sets of games. And so you should be done roughly about noon for your games. Okay. That should be about it there as to who's expected to do what and when. We will have ref cards made up. The ref cards will have the fields, the format, and they'll be color coded. Okay. And then on the backs, on the rules or on the cards as well, we will make sure it will say what the penalties are. Again, it should be pretty straightforward. Fives for offense, 5 yard. Loss of down for defense, 5 yards, automatic first down. But I know that's a little bit of a change. So we'll have that written out there for you guys. Okay. All right. I think that's all that I have here. See here, give me 1 second. I got a chat here. Let's go on. There are some other games added to the constellation. To play one game. No, yeah. So on that constellation bracket here, it's just one additional game. So basically, they play and then they play into the next round. So it just basically is just to figure out who wins that whole constellation. That's it. It's one extra game, and that's been factored in.
We can talk about that offline.
Okay. Other than that, like I said, was hoping to be done with this before top of the hour, and it looks like I'm done with anything. Anybody have any questions within this group? All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for being on the call. Obviously, officials for tomorrow, make sure that you have ref shirt, flag, timers. Everything else should be covered in terms of we've got cones, pylons, the bean bags, and all that stuff for you guys. Do ask that you show up prior to 9 a.m. The event starts at 9 a.m., so we need to get field set up. So I would say arrive no later than 8:45. We should have access to the fields by 8:30. Okay. Okay, that's all I've got. Thank you guys for being available and online with this, and good luck tomorrow with the event. Cheers.